Alright, let's try this again. This video was supposed to come out on Saturday night, and unfortunately things went horribly wrong because I recorded the full-length commentary only to discover that I was recording the game audio instead of the microphone, and so that entire recording was lost. But yeah, I'm sure I won't make any mistakes this time, and will definitely remember to talk about all of the things I talked about in the first attempt. So yeah, this pack, I've actually uploaded a few videos in this pack over the last couple of months. This was a pack that was just called Fun. And usually when I'm creating a custom pack, what I do is, I have in my mind the combo I want to go for, and then I make the pack accordingly so that, it's going to give me the best chance of getting the video. But this pack, I decided to do something a bit different, and I just made a pack with as many of my favourite units as I could fit in as possible. Now, because I only play standard customs, which means you can only have 2 pets from each archetype at most on each tier, it does mean that it's not always possible to get all your favourites into one pack. I think the obvious example is tier 5, where there's quite a lot of useful units that have the summon tag. So you could see Beluga in the shop there, for instance, and then Turkey, Amalgamation. I'm sure there are some others that I'm forgetting. But yeah, you can only pick 2 of those, so there will be some obvious omissions, I guess, in this pack that I would definitely count among my favourite pets. But it is kind of strange playing this way, having played a certain way for a long period of time. I guess this is probably more like what your average player would do, if they fired up custom packs. I think most people would probably be more likely to just pick the pets they like instead of trying to build a specific combo. I don't know, let me know in the comments. Is that what you do on customs? Or are you doing the same thing as me where you're trying to make a specific build? I actually quite often do see people in customs who seem to be trying to replicate a build from a weekly pack. So maybe that's the way that some people approach it. Playing this way actually was quite refreshing, to be honest. It's much less taxing, where you're just picking whatever comes into the shop. You're not hunting for specific units and feeling like certain runs are ruined because you don't find a pet quickly enough. And it did end up with quite a few varied looking teams, where you don't necessarily have a build as such, you just have a bunch of random units that are all working together. However, here we are going to finally get something synergistic going with the Albatross plus level 3 Axandal Hound, now that we're on 9 wins. Axandal Hound is okay in the early game, but the later the game goes, the damage output is just so poor, especially if you don't have any way to force them to have duplicates. Actually, here we face someone who has permanent coconut on Gorilla, which is pretty rare. But I think I'm going to take... okay, we did take 1 eggplant there. Maybe I thought I was going to buy the other one, but maybe not. We do actually have a lot of footage to get through from this recording session. Funny opponent here where they have a frilled dragon at the back. That's a common thing you see. Why would you play your biggest unit at the back? You don't normally do that with any other pet except frilled dragon and maybe shark, I guess, but the shark tends not to start out as the biggest unit. So that's the first run done and dusted. Kind of illustrates what the pack was all about. It was just mixing up all of these fun units and trying to come up with a build that doesn't necessarily have the greatest synergy. So here, we're going to pick this one up on turn 7. We've got the chipmunk with blackberry, which I think is incredibly good, and I probably should use that more often. So we get the 3 +1/+2s onto the cuttlefish, and then we're going to go for salt. It's actually really nice that blackberry ignores the warning message that you would normally get. If you buy the same perk on top of another perk, it will warn you that you're about to waste 3 gold. But of course, with Blackberry, that's not the case. You do want to buy another one because it's going to give you another +1/+2. Unfortunate loss there to Meris. And I think, we take the level up on the cuttlefish. And then I'm, of course, going to take the gelada. If it's a pack with my favourite pets in it, then it's no surprise that gelada makes the cut. Not quite sure why I bought the baguette here onto the tardigrade. Baguette is actually significantly worse if you already have an ailment-spreading pet like the cuttlefish here. So, by the time the baguette comes around, there aren't any perks left in their backline. Actually, that was Nick. I'll link Nick's channel in the description. So we get a level 2 gelada. We do level into Quetzalcoatl again, but I don't have any lower tier units here. It's all tier 4s. So maybe I could take another cuttlefish, yeah. The sunfish would work this turn, but I have a feeling that this was recorded after I had just recorded another sunfish run. So maybe that was the reason I passed it up there. We face Meris again with another strawberry team. I'm not actually sure there were any strawberries there. But the donkey plus inked messes their team up quite a bit. We'll go for a higher level tardigrade. I think here I freeze the red panda. And I guess red panda is kind of a wild card. If you're, like I mentioned earlier, if you're struggling to fit in certain units into your pack because of the tag restrictions, then taking red panda gives you a chance to find those pets. I mean, it's not a great chance, but it's still a chance. And I think am I gonna buy it here or not? Maybe we'll just take the food first and then buy the red panda. Okay, we're gonna take sunfish for a turn. I'm not really sure what exactly I would be looking for from red panda here. It's too late to get ibex. I guess sometimes it's just fun to take random units, or be presented with 3 choices and then just try and decide what would be the best for your team. But I think what's actually going to happen here is I'm going to take the red panda. I'll buy sell a zebra first, take the red panda, and then it's going to offer me 3 things that are all useless for me. Yeah. So albatross, we don't have any snipes. Markhor, we don't have any trumpets. And Quetzalcoatl, everything is tier 4. So in this situation, we just skip. We could end up drawing, and then next turn we could look for a chocolate plus another red panda. But then it matches me with this team, which is a summon team. You don't see too many people playing both Turkey and Spinosaurus. The double donkey actually doesn't help so much because the Spino still gets an extra trigger. But their summons aren't quite powerful enough to get the draw. And the double donkey with untransformed red panda takes the win. Alright, so those were 2 fairly short runs, and now we're going to look at a bit of a longer run. Unfortunately, this one was recorded on the replay system as well. These are all from back in July, I think it was. And I think the replay bug still existed, so we may see a bit of mashing on the skip button. But it's a pretty fun run, and usually if I have a good game on my phone, I do try to save it, but these days I do it a bit less frequently because oftentimes I feel like the footage is just so much better from the PC. However, this one was just too much fun to let slide, so we'll take a look at it now. So transferring the stats off the Babirusa, and then we combine them together again, and then swap again, so a double stat swap, and then we get the double barnacle. Now I actually had a ton of videos saved up for barnacle. I was going to do a bunch of videos in rapid succession. However, what happened was, round about the time of recording, a weekly pack came out that had barnacle in it, and everyone else went ham uploading barnacle videos. So these have just been sitting waiting for their chance to finally be seen by the general public. Here you can actually see the version of the game was slightly different because Bat there had a different stat line and it was a slightly different ability as well. There are a few pets that have seen kind of rapid fire changes in the last few months, but I don't really think it makes too much difference here. 4-2, 2-4. The Bat was only really in the squad for one turn anyway. So Barnacle is an extremely strong pet. It's customs only. I think it's Mini Pack 2 that it came out in. You can actually buy Mini Pack 2 without having to have the subscription in-game, although it is a little bit awkward, or you can do it via the new Teamwood web store. More details about the web store in the description below, but if you just want to buy it in-game, all you have to do is go to the Custom Packs editor screen and then click on Barnacle or one of the other Mini Pack 2 pets, and you should get the option there. Barnacle is probably one of the strongest pets in that mini pack because, just gaining chocolate is so strong by itself, but because there are so many transform foods and pets, being able to get those levels very quickly and then transform, in fact actually once the Barnacle hits level 3, you're still gaining +3/+3 every turn, even though it's maxed out on experience. And in many cases, that's just going to perform better than something like Bison, where the condition is a bit harder to fulfill. So we win again here. But the question is, what is the Barnacle going to transform into? Because I'm definitely going to transform it. And we know that this pack contains a lot of my favorite units. So get your guesses in the comments below. What pet is this Barnacle going to become? And actually at the end of this video there's going to be a bunch of clips as well, because there were a bunch of other runs in this same pack that I didn't really want to spread over multiple videos. And there we go, we get our answer, level 3 mole. Now initially I'm not going to let the mole do anything here because we don't want to remove either the pepper or the baguette. In fact actually the lynx takes care of the pepper anyway, so the mole wouldn't have worked regardless. But I still think we're going to be okay. In fact, we might actually win. Yeah, 1 HP win because of the ink. The treasure chest produces an iguana, so we actually just buy-sell the ibex. And there, yeah, you can see the replay bug did exist then. And Blackberry being in the pack is perfect for mole because we can keep buying stats while enabling the mole ability. And to that end, we're going to swap Cuttlefish to have eggplant. So we get the benefit of the perk plus also the ability to activate the mole. And yeah, level 3 mole out of nowhere is extremely strong. Granted, we are facing some teams that aren't necessarily the most powerful for the turn of the game that we're on. But yeah, summoning an 18/18 twice is no joke. Now, unfortunately here the ibex trigger gets used on the Tasmanian devil instead of the reindeer, but the ink actually removes the melon and clutches out the win there. Melon for the mole, and then we transform the Sphinx into a bat. Kind of a fun looking team here actually. Anubis with Velociraptor. I guess this is the old Roadrunner as well. Roadrunner now has the ability that is the old Hummingbird. And yeah, not surprising that we lost there. So we'll upgrade the bat to another before battle perk. I can't remember if I had all the before battle perks here or not. But this is absolutely amazing where the double eggplant moves the pelican in front of the eel. So the eel doesn't get swallowed and turned into a devastating salmon. And actually, although it looked like an almost unwinnable matchup, we do beat that team. So on to 9 wins. Still 2 hearts, so we can afford another loss, but with a team like this, you don't really want to be going much further beyond turn 16. And then here we face a whale shark team, the double 50-50. So presumably they had, the geometric tortoise here was almost definitely another whale shark. And yeah, the whale shark ends up swallowing the inked, and We lose, so that does put us down to 1 heart. Turn 17, I don't really have the greatest confidence with this team on turn 17, but we end up upgrading to having triple eggplant. And look at this, triple boar, looks like a shop scaling team to me. And the mole knocks out 2 of them because the eggplant plus ibex reduced their stats. And then once more the backline units are inked. And it's a relatively comfortable win, even though the opponent looked very strong there. And let's just round this off with some clips from some other runs. You can see a bunch of the similar units. You know, we've got the ibex again and the sea cucumber. But this was kind of a funny game where there was an unusual sequence of rounds. I think this is actually Strong Melody going for the Giant Eyes Dog achievement. And then, yeah, now this squad is kind of unusual, with the Takushi being activated by Anubis and the sea urchin at the back. It also results in cuttlefish being right at the back, but of course the Takushi pushes it to the front again, and it's a tie. And then another huge team here. I think the ibex trigger was a little bit wasted on the sauropod at the back there. The elephant seal didn't have quite enough to knock out, but then we get triple Monty from the level 3 mink, and that earns us another draw. Another massive team here. This is probably another Kenpeito team where the sunfish probably came from the other goat, or maybe the goat came from a different transformation. But again, it's a draw because of the rabbits at the back line. And then here's one more run in this pack, right at the very end. This would have made it into a video by itself, except for the fact that I did another video that was albatross plus bombus, with a reset using blobfish. I'll link that video in the description if you want to see it. But yeah, building a pack just for fun, who knew that that was a good way to play this game?